Hello friends, and welcome back to Random Hearts, and welcome to the office. We have spent a few times in here, but I've never shown you around this space, and that is because this is kind of a dump zone for me. Typically, there is a big pile of stuff sitting in the middle of this floor, and my husband and I both have our own separate dump zones. His is the garage, mine is the office, and I can close off the door when I've got company and no one sees the mess. Now, you do need spaces like that, and unfortunately this is my space, but I am getting to the point where I can't take it anymore. It is stressing me out to work in here, and I'm tired of walking around stuff, and every time I look at the things in this room, especially in my closet in here, I realize how much money I've wasted or spent on things that I am no longer using. And it gets frustrating. So if you don't know this about me, I am kind of a habitual crafter. I try a craft for a while, I do a lot with it, I collect a lot with it, and then I get tired and bored of it. Or something like my cross stitch, my counted cross stitch, I did that for many, many years and then realized that I could no longer physically do it. My eyesight wasn't good enough for it. So I am going to be going through this office over the next couple of days and weeks. It may take me a while. I am back to work, so that does affect how much time I have to spend in the office. And I will be very critical with myself. And I know this is going to be hard for me because I look at things and see I can do something with this, or this was planned for a project that I never got to. And I really wanted to do that project, but for whatever reason, I didn't finish. And I'm going to go through all of the things in my office. I don't know how much of it I'll actually capture on camera. I don't know how much of it will actually be important to you. But I am going to go through my office, try to clear out some things that I know I'm not using. And we are having a garage sale at the end of September. So I want to get all of this cleared out so that I can actually have a garage sale and get rid of the things that I'm no longer using. And one of those things I know for sure is my sewing projects. I did talk about that when I did my sewing project for the shed, and I'll link that video up in the cards if you'd like to go see that one. But again, same thing as my counted cross stitch. It's something that I'm having trouble seeing and actually doing, and when something is strenuous to you, you don't typically pick it up. So I guess we just get started with this project and we'll see where this takes us. When I am starting a large decluttering or organization process like I will be in this office, I usually start with a project that I'm either very familiar with and know that I can get done fairly quickly, or something that is small. That'll give you some motivation when you finish that project to move on and do more things. Right here, I am working on my stamp inventory because I have probably close to 2,000 rubber stamps. I have to keep track of them somehow so that I can find them easily. And I've been working on this on and off for probably around this last 6 or 7 years. But for whatever reason, I get stopped right in the middle. I have approximately 20 more stamp sets to go through. Basically what I'm doing here is I am using a plain piece of paper that I have typed out the name of the stamp, where it is located in my office, and any details that might help me locate it quickly. Also, I am putting an image of all of the images on the rubber stamp onto the piece of paper. That way I can see exactly what that image is going to look like, especially if it is stamped, because sometimes the printed version and the stamped version do not look the same. Then I am going through my stamps at the same time. So you'll see the piece of paper on the left-hand side there. That is all my stamps. And anything that is highlighted in yellow, I have removed from my inventory. Now, I've done this once before, but I am doing it again because I've purchased a ton of stamps since I did it the last time. And I am just going through that and getting a clear image and deciding what stamps need to stay, what stamps need to go. And that can be very tricky, especially for me because I love all of these. I wouldn't have bought them if I didn't like them. When I am decluttering or organizing any item, it doesn't matter if it's crafts or not, I am asking these simple questions. Do I still like it? Is there anything broken or damaged? Is it easy to use? Have I used it recently? Will I use it soon? Do I have a duplicate or something similar? As I was putting my stamp inventory together, I was asking these questions and deciding whether things were worth keeping or letting go. And you can see I was able to let go of quite a few. In fact, I reduced my inventory by 2 full pages. That is approximately 60 or 70 stamp sets that I was able to get rid of. I now have a beautifully simple system to find any stamp that I might have in my inventory. Everything is beautifully set up on paper. I can see the image clearly. I will see exactly how it stamps. I have nothing in my inventory I am not intentionally wanting to keep, and everything is organized so that I can find it quickly. Take, for instance, this stamp set. If I was wanting to find this in my inventory, I would look under In the Wild, and you can see it is in bin 5. It is a wood stamp set, and of course, it is sitting here in bin 5, second from the bottom. With my stamp inventory complete, I can now rearrange and move things within my 2 shelves. These are the ends of my standing work desk, and they house most of my stamps. I do have some in the closet, but those are acrylics, and I am much happier with how this looks. I am now ready to begin tackling this closet, and this closet does contain quite a lot of small items. These drawers in particular house a lot of embellishments and things that are used when I am paper crafting or scrapbooking. And you might be asking, why do you have so much of this? And what you may not know is that I sold close to my heart for a little over a year, and I also was involved in a Stampin' Up card making group for almost 10 years. And in that time frame, I purchased a lot of items. I had to purchase things when I was demonstrating so I could show how individual products worked and how they could be used to make different crafts. And over time, I've just accumulated so much here that some of it may not even be able to be used anymore because some of it does not have good adhesive anymore. And I did go through some of that. I also made sure that I was being conscious of some of the projects I still have to work on because I do have a lot of scrapbooking projects that still need to be completed. I did check for duplicates and I found a fair amount in this area of the office, so I will be getting rid of those. This will get worse before it gets better, but I know that I'm making some headway and the progress feels good. These large bins are also in the closet and they are categorized by what is inside them. This is my sewing bin and this is my painting and floral bin. But you'll see I also have some other objects in here that maybe don't belong. I started with this Mod Podge. I actually had 2 of them, which was a little bit embarrassing. One of them was completely crusted over and the other one I couldn't even open. So it has clearly been a long time since I've had to use Mod Podge. I threw both of those away and did not add it back to my purchase list. I did find some things that don't belong in here, and that is typically something you're going to come across. Instead of setting it aside, I just went and put it back where it belongs. You can have a go back bin, and if you have a lot of things that are in the wrong place, that is the suggestion. Put it in the go back bin and take it back at the end of your project day. But make sure you're taking everything back at the end of the day, because if you just set it aside, it will become a dump zone for other objects, and you don't want that to happen. I removed everything from the sewing bin as I will not need it anymore, and you can see it is very dirty, so I do need to clean this before I turn it into a project or to-do bin. Now I am onto my paper storage. This is scrap paper, and I am going to be going through that and saving pieces I think are worthwhile and getting rid of pieces that are definitely not worth their time or effort. This by far was one of the most time-consuming bins in the office. This one took me well over an hour to go through, and that is just because there is so much in here. It doesn't look it at first, but there are scraps of paper that are less than an inch across, and I can still use that. That's the problem here. The indecisiveness was just debilitating. I really was struggling with this bin, especially since I know that I have projects that are still ongoing and I may need that scrap piece of paper to fill in a project. I also make a lot of my greeting cards and I can use scrap paper in those very easily. I can cut things on my Cricut using scrap paper, and a lot of times that is what I use. But this took a long time, and I ended up deciding that a lot of my paper that was very small or already had cuts in it just needed to go. This was probably one of the most taxing tasks I did in the entire office declutter and organization project. And that is because there was so much mental strain here. I was having to decide whether stuff was staying or going, and that can be very hard on your brain. And I felt like at the end of this task, I just didn't want to do anymore. I was done for the day. And that's okay. If something is very hard for you and you're having a tough time getting through it, take it slow or just stop. If I could have left this where it was at, I probably would have. But in the end, I put everything in color group. I put it back into the bin and layered it. I will probably have to do this again next year, but I think it'll be a little easier when I do that. And just because something is hard does not mean that you don't get satisfaction from it. In fact, I think I got more satisfaction when I put this bin back into the closet, seeing all the stuff that I had already gone through and where we were at in the process. I just need to keep reminding myself that every time I remove something that I no longer am using, I am gaining space. I am gaining room for the things that I am using. 4 years ago, I would not have needed this shelf with camera gear, but now I do. And that is just it. Our lives are continually changing and our needs are changing. This is why I feel so strongly about going through your items and decluttering on a very regular basis, because times do change and you change and the things in your home change and your needs change. And when you don't go through that, you are holding on to things you are no longer using. Like this whole thing of stickers. I don't use stickers anymore, and I only ended up keeping about 2 sheets of these and donating the rest. Now, by this point, it was getting very repetitive, even for me, and I was getting very tired of working with paper products and everything in this closet. But I knew I needed to go through my patterned paper. This is all 12 by 12 patterned paper, and they sit in these bins. I have 9 of them, and I went through every single one of them, even if it was in a kit, and decided whether it was something I would keep, I would use. I basically went through the same questions I did at the beginning. So this is a really good example of something that I've been holding on to for years because I have not sold close to my heart in close to 18 years. And this is a monthly kit that I would have been required to purchase for demonstrations. And this is something that I have never used because it is definitely not my art style. There's a lot of vintage looking stuff in here, and it's just not something I gravitate toward. And because I had to purchase it, it's something that was difficult for me to get rid of. And I thought maybe at some point I might use it, but let's be honest, 20 years later, I still have not used it. And this kit, along with the other paper that I got out of the office today, will go into the growing pile down at the bottom of the stairs in the living room. And you can see I've got quite a lot of stuff here. This is all waiting to go to the garage sale, and eventually we will have that, and I will feel really good about getting rid of some of the things that we are no longer using. Well, friends, I think this is where we are going to end this video. I have been working in the office now on this decluttering project and reorganization project for about 3 weeks now. And I am getting to a point where it is very intermittent because I have other things that are precedent right now. My garden in particular is coming to the end of its growing season, and I've got a lot of harvesting to do. I actually have some planting that still needs to be done before we start freezing, and I need to start winterizing things outdoors. So I've got to say I'm good in here, and that's something you've got to tell yourself. Once you get to a point where you feel good about it and you're good with what you've accomplished, be okay with it, because we are never quote unquote finished with organizing and decluttering. That is something you continually have to do. You are constantly bringing stuff in, whether you're buying it or friends are buying it for you or family, or you're getting it from school or work, or you're getting it from the post office. It doesn't matter. Stuff that comes into your home will start stockpiling, and at some point, if you are not working through that on a very regular basis, it will start becoming overwhelming for you. And everybody's threshold is different. My husband has a very high threshold for clutter. He can handle things that are on the counters and in his way. He can work around them, no problem at all. He can find things that are in piles. In fact, he knows where things are in his piles and can go to them right away. I, on the other hand, have a very low threshold for clutter on the counter. I can't have things in my way when I'm working. It's overwhelming. I can't have things in piles because I can't find them. So we each have our different thresholds, and we have to know where we sit on that spectrum and get things cleaned up before they get to the point where they're overwhelming and past our threshold. And if you've gotten to that point in a space like I have here in the office, or my husband's getting to in the garage, you just have to know where to start. And I think my advice to you is this: if you are at the overwhelmed stage, start with a single little item. Start with a pile. Start with a drawer, a single drawer. Go through that single drawer, that pile of stuff, and decide whether it's trash, whether it's stuff you need to keep, whether it's stuff you could donate or sell, or whether it's stuff you're not sure of. And always have a maybe box, because there are going to be things that you mentally can't handle when you are going through this stuff and you're not sure. And if you put it in that maybe box, and 6 months to a year later, if you have not touched that item in that box and you have not needed it, then it's a pretty clear sign that you can get rid of it. And that is kind of the whole point of this video, is we are going to have to continually work on this. It's never going to be a finished project. And I'm there. I'm good enough with what the space is doing right now. I feel good in here. I do have to do a little bit of labeling, and I do have to do a deep clean in here. I'm ready to do that. But I'm not going to film that, and who knows when I'll get to it, because I do have other things I need to get done immediately. So I hope this video has been good for you. I know that this can be a tricky subject, especially because I'm not a professional organizer. I can't really give you a professional opinion on how to deal with stuff. But my advice is just take it in baby steps, and something is better than nothing. And that's my whole philosophy, is if I can get something done, I'm very happy with it. And I did get quite a lot out of this space. I got a lot of things out of here that I knew I was not using. I got some things out of here that I had duplicates of that I was quite embarrassed to even find. And I got rid of my sewing stuff and got my stamp inventory put together. I've been wanting to do that for years. And that feels just amazing. And I think even if I had just gotten those few things done, I would have felt good about this. But I got much more than that done. And you can see I got a lot of things out of here that maybe you might not notice, but I do notice. And the thing is, you know, we might not have a Pinterest-worthy closet. I might not have a Pinterest-worthy space, but I live in this. I work in this. I do projects in this daily, and that is where I'm at with this. This is what normal people have to do to keep their spaces looking good. I don't have somebody coming in here and professionally helping me with this. And I don't have a separate space that I work in that you don't get to see. That's my junk zone. This is my space. And I didn't want to share this at first because I didn't want to actually share how bad my organization is in this room, or how bad it was. But yeah, everybody is different. So I hope this is helpful to you. And if it has been, give me a thumbs up on this video. And if you have any questions or comments about what I have talked about in this video, please let me know in the comment section down below. And if you'd like to share one of your spaces that you feel like has just become a dump zone for you and you're not sure where to even start, maybe leave that in the comments and we can talk about it. We can maybe work through a starting point for you. And like I said, I'm not a professional organizer. I have been organizing for a lot of years just personally, and I have had friends that have told me I should become an organizing professional. But to be honest, I have so many other things going on in my world. I just don't have the time. So let me know in the comments if I can help you in any way. And if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. We hope you're having a lovely day wherever you are, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.